At the turn of the tide, I can see an innate desire. Sword in hand, warriors side by side, I can feel it, it burns like fire. Worlds collide, an unstable landscape, side by side, but that's what this mandates. Be it might, and unlikely allegiance, we will fight because that's the best defense. No turning back for such is our path. This day we find a glorious death. Glorious death. Our goal, our mission is clear, as we ride against a dark empire. By my soul, may the last thing they hear be the roar of this raging fire. Listen, be the savagery mindset. Not today, we'll let loose and find it. Brutal will define our reaction. Rip out the throat of each one in their faction. No turning back, for such is our path. This day we find
Routing Services has a bundle for all budgets. You can be fully protected with emergency response for just $49.99.
Okay, welcome to Braxcast Live, guys. This has been an absolutely crazy week, although not because of any big Rippaverse news. We have the Definitive Yaira #1, which we are going to be talking about, but of course, everyone's talking about Charlie Kirk's assassination. Very tragic, but I talked about that on Hump Day Potpourri. You can listen to my initial thoughts on that. We're still getting information about everything that happened, and of course, really took the wind out of my sails. I wasn't like a hardcore conservative, but I think he was definitely was a decent guy. But anyways, we're getting into, like I said, the Definitive Yaira collection. So we're getting another omnibus. This is, of course, collecting the first 3 issues of Yaira in one epic book. And I've said on the record that Yaira is my favorite book, of course. So this is probably going to be the optimal way to read it. Of course, I have all 3 individual issues. I have multiple copies because, I'm that type of guy. But if you're just getting into the Rippaverse, and let's say it's the next year when this is out, this has been around, and you're like, hey, I think Yaira's a cool character. How should I start with Yaira? Just get the Definitive Yaira. You'll be able to spend $40 and get this off the cover. Hopefully, it's something that they keep in um, let's see. Hopefully, they keep these in circulation, at least the soft cover. So at least they have like a version of this. Like, I'm fine with them doing like a different cover of the soft cover and having that be in the having that be the mass print. But I think this is definitely a really good idea to do these definitive series, keep them in circulation for people who like to get in on the comics that are as collected issues. Although Ripverse is a little bit different since they do have that, they're much more, single issues are much more akin to trade paperbacks than the individual monthly floppies are. So it's not like you have to buy, if you want to keep up with a series, you're buying like 12 issues a year. And it's like, well, it becomes worth it just to wait for the first couple of trades that comes out whenever they come out. It's much more of a staggered release schedule, although, of course, there's more of a wait time between issues rather than getting it every month. So if you're keeping up with it, like, I do, where I'm getting every single issue, sometimes you're waiting a long time, especially with Alpha Core 2, cough, cough. And of course, we got Mike Has Bad Knees in the chat. Ram just came in the chat. Hail to you. Hopefully, you're having a good week. Like I said, absolutely insane week. Although this, Definitive Yaira collection is not insane or anything like that. It's, a pretty typical thing that the Rippaverse has been doing, been putting out omnibuses. And I think it's a good thing. It makes sense, like I said, for people who want to get on Yaira. Hopefully, it's something they keep in rotation. Of course, we've got, let's see if I can see who the covers, who did the covers. See, an episode of Braxcast is good after the past few days. Yes, hopefully I can raise your spirits, but always remember, Ram, I know you're Catholic. John 14:6. If the world hates you, remember that it hated me first. That's what Christ said to his apostles. Very true in these times. So just remember that. And then Matthew 28:20. And that's going to do a lot more good for you than my content ever will. But hopefully, Braxcast will help take your mind off of things, because there's definitely a lot to keep your mind in despair. And it's a really hard thing to not fall into despair with, everything that goes on in the political sphere than the personal realm. But here we're talking about comic books. I'm not going to get into this, and I'm trying to find out who the covers are done. Who does these covers, because this is an absolutely fantastic cover. I love this cover here. Of course, we love Yaira's costume. I love the background art here. I just need, I'm not sure if it's a Kanan cover, but it should say who the covers are done by, right? If I can get a name for that. Oh yeah, okay. So Mark Evans did the soft cover. Will Conrad did the hard cover. Okay, there we go. Now, of course, we'll pull up that hardcover there. That's my orders tab. Yeah, at least it didn't dox myself. Um, yeah, no, I agree with you, Ram. Like, if I've read all 3 issues of Yaira, so this is like, oh, it's cool that it's happening for people who are like getting into the ish series of Yaira. But I think you've read Yaira, I've read Yaira as the individual issues. It's like, well, I don't need to rebuy this. I got in on the Item collection because that had the Dokapon card binder, and I figured, hey, let me get a copy of the definitive Item because I think it'll have a remastered Item too. That'll be worthwhile for me to cover on the Braxcast, the recorded episodes that I do. But if I didn't have that to do, then I would have just gotten the card binder, right? And I think that's the way a lot of people feel about these collections. That a lot of people have already read them, and this is something for the people who are getting into it. And this is what you see reflective of the sales numbers. Usually, something like this, like a new collection, would pretty easily get into the 5 figures for Rippaverse. It's very typical of these collections. Um, let's see. Agreed. It's cool. And if I only had say Yair 1, I would probably have this, but I have them all exactly, Mike. So it's not like, of course people are going to, well, they construe everything the Rippaverse does, like every time, everything that the Rippaverse does as like them being indicative of being like 2 seconds away from bankruptcy. This is really just like, hey, it's a cool thing to do for people who are getting into it, for people who like to collect omnibuses. I'm not necessarily an omnibus collector. Of course, I have like all the graded comics. So for me, what's collectible are those single issues. And I'm getting more selective with those because, I'm not in the situation where like I wasn't paying bills when I was living at home, or I wasn't paying rent and all the other bills. And now I am. And I've got to be more selective with my budget until, Lord willing, my ship comes in. I have, a great income if that happens, and then I can pay my bills, and then I can spend my money on comic books. But we'll see if that ever happens. But for now, I got to tighten the belt, and of course the comics aren't going to be, or of course like getting every single graded edition is not what I'm prioritizing. And of course, a lot of people don't get to collect graded, signed and graded editions anyway, because John's Longbox is philosophically opposed to them. Which I can understand that take, but I personally like them. I think they're really cool, but it's they're just neat to have as mementos. They don't really, I don't see them as investments or anything like that. They're just cool to have. But this is Will Conrad's cover, and you see Will Conrad's signature right there, and of course this is a really epic piece. He's a fantastic artist. I've got, of course, what behind me here. I can show myself off on full screen. This is Kanan's artwork, but in my bedroom, I have Will Conrad's poster. I believe it's Will Conrad's Yaira poster, and it's an epic drawing of Yaira. So he's really good. And if you see actually, let's see, and if you actually look at the oh yeah, we got a maze in the chat. Hopefully you are doing well. But I remember when I went through the Art of Will Conrad, I forget what episode of the Braxcast that was, like what number, but you can search it up. You can see me go through the last page. And he said, "This is my first drawing of Yaira. I wanted to make sure I did it well." And it's like an epic drawing. Let me see if I can actually get it. Because I believe in my short box, if you guys I'm the most professional. Remember, guys, I'm the most professional live streamer that has ever existed. I'm not just like awkwardly like cutting in and out and everything. But this is, here we go, Art of Will Conrad. Or no, this is Art of Jack Herbert, not Art of Will Conrad. What am I doing? Actually, I think I might have been. No, yeah, no. This is Art of Jack Herbert. I confuse these guys so much. But yeah, this right here is art of art art of this is Art of Jack Herbert, not Will Conrad. But I have Art of Will Conrad, and I will get Art of Will Conrad at any point if I know what I'm doing. And I believe that I do. Here we go. Art of Will Conrad, who is the artist of Gooding, right? So this is the poster that I have, guys. I have this poster, right, of Yaira in my room. Of course, it's fully colored. I don't know who colored it exactly, But this was the first art I did for Yaira. As it usually goes with me, I take a little time to get used to drawing the character until I feel more comfortable drawing them. This is his first time. It's like, get more comfortable drawing them. Like he could have like messed this up. It's like, it's beautiful artwork, man. So like Will Conrad's an absolute beast when it comes to drawing. So glad that he's not only doing the Dokemon cards, he did Gooding. Hopefully we get more Gooding. By Will Conrad, which we are, but hopefully that comes like early 26 because it was so good polymath. We need more of that. Of course, we've got Zayd Comics in the chat. Of course, I want you guys to check out The Man with No Strings #0. I backed that day one, I believe. I got in on that while I was at work on break. Great guys, love what they're doing. Can't wait to read and review that one in November. I am so behind on my comic reviews, man. It's not even funny. And I'm so freaking lazy when it comes to, I'm dropping my short box cover. And I'm so freaking lazy when it comes to that. But I'll definitely review Man with No Strings #0 when I get it in November, because I did back. I was a day one backer, I believe, because, I like Westerns. I love Red Dead Redemption. I watched like a John Wayne movie for like one of my community college classes because I finished I got my associate's degree. Because my it's kind of like I was aimless in life. I still kind of am. But at the time, I was really aimless in life, and it was like, well, you got to do something. So like finish school because you spent 3 semesters at a 4-year school and flunked out. So like get something. And I got a liberal arts degree, and it's done me so much good in life because I'm here on a Friday night talking to you guys, and that's an absolutely fantastic way to spend my time. But thanks to Zayd Comics for doing what they do. Like I said, you can check out my reviews of Magic Cop. I need to get the other issues of Magic Cop because that's an ongoing series. I've only reviewed the first issue, and I liked where that first issue went. Mike Has Bad Knees. Don't think you ever read a Western comic. I would recommend Wrath of God by, is it Aaron Lepresti? I think it's Aaron Lepresti who does Wrath of God. It's not Graham Nolan. It's Aaron Lepresti who does Wrath of God. And that's a good series. I think they're on the first 2 issues. And I reviewed, did I review those? I don't think I did. I've read them, but I don't think I've reviewed them. But they're good. I like Wrath of God, and that's got a real Western vibe to it. It's also got a real supernatural vibe to it. I think you liked Bloodroof, yeah, Wrath of God. That's what Zayd Comics is saying in the chat. I really liked those 2, and Gabe El Taib actually was the colorist on the first issue. He did a really good job on that. So I would 100% recommend Wrath of God. You did read issue 1 of Wrath, so yeah, I would say that's a Western comic. Although it's also like a supernatural comic as well, especially the second issue with it being about werewolves, right? No, actually, no. The first issue is werewolves. The second issue is vampires. Oh man, yeah. So of course you're taking that back, yeah. But yeah, definitely that one's a Western. So I can't think of too many Western comics. Of course, I've got the 4 issues of Jack Irons. And I haven't read those. Those like way in the stack. But I definitely need to read those, do an overview of those at some point in the future. Although I've got like a bunch of stuff from Genuine Comics I need to review. Like, well, actually 2. Power Trip issue 2, Dream Girl #1. I need to do Mighty Golden Patriot. I haven't read that. Common America Alpha. Of course, Saints and Sinners is getting fulfilled this month. So when I get that, I'm going to have to read and review that. So there's going to be a lot of stuff. I just need to get to it. But working every day, and of course, like this has been a really, really draining week, like mentally, like keeping in tune with the news cycle, because I do that for the podcast that I do. That's not Braxcast, in the Velvet Room with Joker the Fool, and of course, just like being as connected as I am. It was a part of me. It's like I just want to like sell everything I own, drop off of the internet, and go into the mountains and never talk to anybody again, never use the internet again, just cleanse myself of this. So because that's kind of the feeling that you get. And it's not just, with this, thing in the past week, it's all the stuff you can use the internet for. And I use the internet to do all the wrong things, it feels like. a lot of the times, which not the best, not the most I don't know, not my finest moments. I'll say that. But anyways, not really too much to talk about. Like I said, with this Yaira collection, Definitive Yaira, it's a really cool thing that they're doing. But like I said, for the hardcore fans, like, which I am, and I figure the guys who watch this are people who are really into Rippaverse and probably have these free issues and either like them or, or I guess like them, I would imagine. But even and if you didn't like them, all the more reason to you would not want to get a collection that collects all free. But for the people who are, like I said, getting into the Rippaverse, it's really cool. And of course, I think the associated merch options are actually pretty cool. So, but again, it's like if I had the room in my budget, then I might. But I have to I already have a bunch of Yaira shirts anyway, and I already have this Yaira hat right here. Like you see, I'll put it on. It's a really cool one. Most of my Rippaverse hats don't really fit me all that well. The Horseman one does. The Isom one I have does, and this one right here. So I really do like it. And I'll show that off. So yeah, I mean, I've got this really cool Yaira hat, but I think this is genuinely a cool one. And then of course we've got that Definitive Yaira shirt. Let's see. So actually, if we open the image in a new tab, and then we open the image in the new tab like that. So of course you got that. I think it's a really cool hat, and I do think this is a really cool shirt. But like I said, I already have a ton of Yaira shirts, and I have a Yaira hat. I'm not much of a hat guy, but it's nice to have hats. When I went camping, I wore my Horseman hat a lot when I was at Pork Fest, and I didn't do a Pork Fest. What was it, 23 video? I really probably should have, but it was like I was moving and I wasn't going to be back at the computer. On my laptop, I got the battery replaced at a shop, and it was boned. I RMA'd it and it was boned. So I'm going to have to re-RMA it. But I'm just so lazy with that. I'm like, it's been ever since I had this random shutdown issue. It's been so hellish for me. I'm trying to get it fixed. But anyways, like I said, I already have a ton of Yaira merch, so it's oh, this stuff is cool, but I'd have to spend nearly $100 to buy both of these, and it's not what I need. And I already have, like I said, a bunch of Yaira posters. I've got 2 Yaira posters. Actually, I've got 3 Yaira posters, and they're all hung up. And I'm running out of room for Yaira for posters, so I want to prioritize probably the Norfolk poster for getting space, because I love that Southern Regional Tour poster. And probably, I mean, the Jotunheim poster is going to be pretty cool. And then I think I've got another one. I think it's a Bloodroof poster. It's in the tubes. And then I've got actually 2 posters that I haven't hung up, and I'm getting more. So we'll see if I can actually get room and hang them up. I've got some room behind me. I've got probably have some more space. I mean, the room is so small, so I'm not sure how much more space I have to hang up posters, but I can get the frames and frame them up and see what I'll do. But anyways, also got Norfolk A Glorious Death is closing out tonight. I believe the guys at the Rippaverse are doing a closeout live stream that started probably, I don't know, about an hour or so before I went live. And we've got closing in on that 300K mark. I'm not sure if it'll hit 300K, but that's be cool if it did. But the biggest thing, which probably not going to hit, is that new Dokkan deck at $500,000, which my wallet is so happy that it's not happening. But as a fan, it'd be really cool to get a new Dokkan card deck will be revealed and added to the collection, featuring characters, icons, and relics from Norfolk A Glorious Deck #1, stylized for collectors and lore enthusiasts alike. This will expand your Dokkan arsenal with brutal new faces from the realm. Hopefully they do a Norfolk deck as part of the last issue of Norfolk, and they just released that, because that'd be a really cool thing for them to do. I want them to do that. But we did get this concept art book, of course. I didn't get this signed and graded. It would have been cool, but again, not in the budget. But I am getting the cassette player. I am getting the vinyl. And I think Mike has bad knees. Says go to a thrift shop and get a cassette player. And I did see one driving. There's one that's on my way to work. On my way to work. I did see one, so maybe I'll go there tomorrow. But tomorrow is pretty packed, and I've got a second job. And Sundays, like I spend all morning at church, and then I go to work, and then I don't feel like doing anything when I get home. So I'm not sure if I'll get around to it, but who knows? Feel like I've got some time before I get that cassette. The vinyls, I'm going to have to get a cassette, not a vinyl player. Probably buy one of those from Walmart also, so I can play my Red album as well. But it'll be cool to play these vinyls, and of course, like a golden vinyl would be really cool. But it was really cool to see. Again, that single. Again, I use it as my intro music along with Doug Shea's "And Together," which is a really good song that he wrote. It doesn't seem like he's posting much content, but I always put the link to his video at the beginning when I'm playing his video. So if you guys haven't, given him a sub, given a like to that video, put a comment on it to, juice the algorithm for him. I would, I think I would appreciate that. I think he would as well. But this is, like I said, a really cool collection. This has been a massive one. Of course, I got a good deal on this because I used my Oops Zailing code. I saved it up for something good, something juicy, and I did it for this, and I got a decent price on all of this stuff. So I'm getting all these covers. I'm getting the signed and graded for all of Norfolk #1. And I'm getting these posters. I'm getting the vinyls. I'm getting the shirts as well, like that pretty epic merch. So I really am excited for Norfolk to see, just like I said, going to be a pretty foundational book for the Rippaverse's lore, because Norfolk, Valadon and Dakari are going to be introducing a lot of the mythology, like the mythological aspects of the Rippaverse. We've gotten insights into that with Yaira, of course. We've gotten Neptune and Kalito, of course. This is why we got the water theme, and of course we've got the Magni. And can I talk about Yaira #3 spoilers? Am I allowed to, guys? Since the Omnibus is coming out, I haven't seen anything in the chat. Maybe internet connection is going bad. I don't think it is, though. I think you guys are just lurking, which is okay. But if you guys want me to, say like any spoilers for Yaira 3, because I was about to, and then I contained myself. But I would love to get into some Yaira spoilers, because there was a point I was going to make. But anyways, I'm not sure if I need to make it. But I'm sure at some point we'll be able to talk Yaira spoilers. But I probably could, but I don't know. I feel like I've given adequate warning. But anyways, with Norfolk Glorious Death, of course, that digital single, I did buy that for like the 150 or whatever it was. Just to help it chart on the billboards. Although I listened to it on Spotify. Oh yeah, you're dry. Well, that's okay. Focus on the road. Don't focus on replying to me. Focus on driving. Don't be, because I got rear-ended in December of 23 and it totaled my car. I wasn't I wasn't like really injured or anything. My neck was sore for maybe like 2 weeks or so. But it was because the woman who was driving was distracted. She was arguing with the kid in her passenger seat about a Starbucks drink, wasn't looking at the road, and then slams into me. And then it boned. My car got boned. But it all worked out. I got the car got totaled. I got money for, well, it was in my dad's name. So he got the payout, and then he gave me some money on top of that, like for my birthday as well, and also because I took care of that car. It was a crappy car, but it was my crappy car. It was my first car. So that's always like I don't care. Like, the best thing about that car is that it's my car. Although my sisters hated that car. The few times they were in it and they drove it, they're like, "How can you drive this car?" I was like, "Well, it's my car." But I took that car camping with me. I took it camping with me just one time. Well, the first time I went to Porkfest, I drove that car, and it was about like a 5-6 hour drive. It's pretty nice. And that car, it was a Versa, Nissan Versa. It got decent gas mileage. It was in decent mechanical condition. I got it with like 44, and then it ended with around 80,000 miles. I can't remember, but it was somewhere in that 80,000 miles. I put like, I don't know, maybe 26,000 miles on it, and I got the oil changed, tires rotated. I had to get the brakes replaced. That was the only big thing I ever had to do. But I had no issues other than that. And of course, like if I had kept driving it, the transmission on that would have been boned anyway because it was the Jacko transmissions. And anyway, so it was good that it happened. It just wasn't good in the moment. It felt awful. But it all worked out. I had a car to drive for the couple of like the month and a half or so. Actually, it was like closer to 2.5 months where I didn't have a car. But I was able to get the car that I drive now, which is a pretty sick Toyota. But it's a nice car, and I only have 10,000 miles on that car, and it's a hybrid. I love that car. I love it now. I love it to death, man. It's a good car. And it's only got like it's got like one scratch on like the front, and then it's got like a little nick on the back bumper. But anyways, am I talking about my car? We got Garfield's Bizarre Adventure in the chat. Hopefully you are doing well, all things considered. Like I said, crazy week. But unfortunately, it's not a crazy week because we have like Alpha Core 2 and Yaira 4 launching on the same day, which would have been like insane. I would have been like, oh man, it's a crazy week. I got like too much to talk about. But no, I think, we all know about Charlie Kirk and all of that. And I talked about it in the beginning. I don't need to mention that since that's what your feed's been like inundated with. At least mine has. I'm sure everybody else is too. But talking about the closeout for Norfolk A Glorious Death, which is happening. How it most likely isn't going to get to 300. It could, but it's definitely not going to get to 500,000, which I still think $280,000 is a pretty good success for a launch of a new book. And of course, just past 280, 6,500 books sold. So I really am excited for Norfolka. Hopefully this is a strong limited series. That way we can get more Norfolka. Yeah, and it has been in a pretty insane past few days. It's only going to get crazier from here, man. I think another book is launching next week. I think if you mean launching, Saints and Sinners, I know is fulfilling next week. But we can check if the Rippaverse posted anything and see if let's see. Well, we've got people liking my post, which is always really nice. I like that you guys like my posts. And of course, Eric July always retweets my like whenever I put it because I tag him. I need to get Eric July. I need to interview him on Braxcast one day. Like you guys need to harangue him on his lives and say, Joker wants to interview you on a recorded episode of Braxcast. A live stream would be fun. Let's see the best Norfolk cover for Garfield. It's A, and I'll go through them right now. And I probably I think let's see. So of course, here we go. We got cover A right here. Big, beautiful. I think this is Ronald's. Yeah, this is Kane and White's cover. So this is Kane and White's cover. Of course, Kane and White. That's a good choice, man. I'm not going to knock you for that. We got cover B here by Gabriel Icano, which I think is a pretty nice one. Although I don't know who this character is. Maybe when I find out who he is, I'll be like, oh, it's such an epic cover. But for now, it's like, I mean, this C cover though, which is done by Katerina Kalaminiu. I mean, this is a really good one cover. This might be my favorite cover. And then of course we've got the D cover, which is done by Yevgeny Sokolov and Jesse Higi. And I think this is a decent cover. The style of it, it's not. I don't know. It's not necessarily the like what I jive with the most. So I think Garfield, to answer your question, I'm going to go with cover C. I love this cover. This is a chef's kiss cover. I'm in love with it. So that is my answer. Cover C of Norfolk is my favorite cover. And of course, I think in second place, I'll put cover A because cover A is really epic. Of course, you've got Valadon. You've got the Kari in that like epic shot right there. And of course, looking at it now, and I'll actually here's a little Easter egg here. Look at this. You got Gooding Services. You got his emblem here. And of course, we can zoom in even more. You see, like, look at this, guys. I just noticed this looking at the cover. Look, you got Gooding Services. And this is the same one that, like, the same emblem of Gooding that showed up when the site went down for repairs or maintenance. And then it relaunched and it launched with Gooding. That's a fun one. And of course, you see that $49.99 a month. So that's a really small detail. Absolutely love to see stuff like that. But that's like upon taking like a second like look at that cover, I just noticed that in the corner of my eye. It's not something you notice because, of course, the focal point is Baladon and Takari. But you see that there. So is Gooden going to be in Norfolk, guys? Could be. But of course, that could just also be the fact that this is a scene that's taking place in Flores Park, getting marketed services in Flores Park, so it would make sense. You would see a billboard there. So yeah, no, I hadn't noticed that either. I just noticed that looking at that. It just came out of the corner of my eye. I like to, you really have to be observant these days, especially if you live in the city. I mean, I live in a city, but it's not like New York. Manchester is the largest city in New Hampshire, and it's only 100,000 people, which is like the size of the town I lived in New York. It was like not the smallest town in New York, but it was just a town in New York. Is the size of has the population of New Hampshire's largest city. So I'm in like about as urban as New Hampshire gets, and it does not feel urban at all because like I can drive 20 minutes. I can go to a lake. I can go like hiking like half an hour. I can be up in like the absolute boonies and like an hour and a half. So it's really, really nice up here. And of course, there's trees everywhere. This is called the granite state. So you see granite deposits, even where I'm working. Like there's like a craggy hill, and it's just so beautiful, man. I just love it up here. So I'm really happy that I decided to make it the move. Even though at times like I kind of like miss my old life because I had a really dialed in routine back in New York, and of course my family was there, and there was family I had there. I had my grandfather with me or with us, but he passed in January. So it was, we were taking care of him. So which was a bit of I would say a burden, but it was an obligation for sure. Which wasn't always fun to carry, but it was nice to have that routine and be with him. But it's just a season of my life that ended, and I have to accept that. That's the thing is that's the whole thing with life is that life has these seasons. There's these eras in your life, and they are going to end, and you're going to be nostalgic for them, but you can't bring the past back. You can't hold on to it. You have to let it go, and that's the whole thing there. And I think I don't know. I'm not sure if that's ever been a Rippaverse theme, but we should probably have that be some sort of theme in the Rippaverse. Of course, Isom has his tragedy with what happens. Well, what's narrated in Isom 2. We find out about in Isom 2, although it doesn't happen in the timeline of Isom 2, if you catch my drift, with Shodron killing that girl on his watch. Like holding on to that is part of what burdened Isom. And then, of course, the anger he's holding on to in Isom number 3 is the reason why he can't have his powers, or a reason why his powers weren't working, of course. But yeah, this is definitely a slow news week for the reverse. Of course, sounds like a new book is launching next week. So, RIP my wallet. We'll see what happens there. So I'm not sure if I can even get every cover. But I'll probably try. Because the book packs aren't the most expensive, especially with how low the page counts are getting these days. That 56 pager usually seems to be. I'm hoping it's Alpha Core 2. I'm skeptical that it's going to be Alpha Core 2. For me, it's more likely, if I had to take a guess, either Cursed. Actually, I have a spreadsheet. I made a spreadsheet a while ago, and I'll pull it up, guys. If I even know what I'm doing. So I made a spreadsheet. So I have several spreadsheets, but I remember a while ago making a spreadsheet of like all the Ripaville books, and what their status of release was. Oh yeah, actually, now that I'm thinking about it, most likely it's going to be Great War Separation 3. I would say it's most likely going to be that. If there's a book that launches next week that just like stealth launches, like let's say on Monday morning around noon or so, we got a trailer, and it just says this book launching Wednesday or Friday or whatever day of the week they decide to do, because they like to do weekdays because everyone works during the week. It's probably going to be Great War Separation 3. I can't can't think of any other book. Um, and I think that's the one that's probably ready to go. I'm 50 seconds behind what book is launching. Ram, we don't know. Apparently, Mike has bad news. Said Ripa is letting it slip that there's a book launching next week. So I'm just speculating on what it is. Or your guess is as good as mine, but my guess is um, Great War Separation number 3. But I'm just pulling up my. Let's see. No. Microsoft Excel is the absolute. I pay for Microsoft Office Suite as a business expense because I use Word. Yeah, probably he did NDA himself. Probably the 2 books that Saskas are making. So the Cursed and the Black Eyed Club, that would be really cool. Yeah, they do tease it a lot. They also tease Bloodroof number 2. So who knows? But for me, I'm thinking Great War Separation number 3. But yes, we finally got it, guys. Oh my god. I got this right here. And actually, I gotta edit this. Say pre-orders opened. Because Great War, I forgot about the spreadsheet for so long. And then I can actually say this one is fulfilled. So yes, we got those fulfilled. We got those fulfilled. And then we can say this book is fulfilled. Bloodroof number 2 is a Halloween launch, and I stand by it. If it's gloss free, I'm so down for. I'm really down for Great War Separation 3 because that second issue was like really built on the momentum of the first. I'm really excited to see what Chuck Dixon has cooking for number 3. Of course, Jack Herbert's a fantastic artist, and as I will mention every time I mention Jack Herbert, has to do a Young Isom series. It's required. Again, I will stop being a fan of the reverse if we don't get a Young Isom theory at some point. Like if it doesn't get announced by the end of 2026, I'm done with the reverse, man. I'm deleting my account. I'm going off of everything. Bring Captain Hernandez back. 100% agree. Man, I forget. Was Hernandez one of the villains in that? Oh man, in Great War. Because there's so many names. It's been a while since I read it, and I think it was like, yeah, man, I've switched like jobs, and man, so much is going on. But I gotta remember that character because he seemed to be one of the more like minor characters. I liked Salazar. I definitely liked Absolute Zero, and of course Brian Solari is a standout character, and of course Plessy Sanders saying like this isn't Connecticut. Certainly isn't. That was a great one. Let's see. So number 2. Fulfilled. It certainly did fulfill. Fulfilled. Opening a spreadsheet got me to actually track it. But yeah, so like I said, the only thing it could be would be probably and Horseman number 1 fulfilled. So there we go. Hernandez is the hero pilot for. Oh yeah, you keep. I remember you mentioning that the hero pilot, the one who kills all of the pilot. Yeah, so he's mentioned in one scene, but the one who takes out those cartel members and then sets off the powder keg. That is the Great War Separation. So yeah, it would be cool if Hernandez came back and he was like. It wouldn't necessarily have to have like a fighting role, but if he's given like the Texas Medal of Freedom or something like that by Plessy Sanders, they'll show like they're standing with Texas as like a PR stunt. That'd be a cool thing to do. Or maybe he gets signed on as an except. We'll see. And of course, XL is like telling me that I should be going full screen. But yeah, so this is the Rip-A-Veal tracker, guys. But I'm not sure if you're interested in this, but this is a spreadsheet I made that listed all the Rip-A-Veal books and then their status. And I made it so long ago. I think I made it, I don't know, probably almost a year ago. I made it like in December or so. Like basically December, early January, like just after the Rip-A-Veal happened. And I think I made it. I just never checked in on it until now. But I was like, oh, I have a list of all the books that were revealed in the Rip-A-Veal in 2024. So let me pull it up and see which one it could be. And I'm looking at this list, and I'm thinking it could be um, Great War Separation 3. That's going to be my guess on the book we're getting next week. Is Great War Separation number 3. And if it's not Great War Separation number 3, it's most likely going to be The Curse and the Black-Eyed Club. And then maybe Alpha Core 2. I would love for it to be Alpha Core 2. But I just don't think it's Alpha Core 2. Unfortunately, I want it to be Alpha Core 2. Like, I need it to be Alpha Core 2, but I think it's Great War Separation 3. Anyways, there's my Excel spreadsheet, and I know some of you guys work office jobs, and you have to stare at Excel all day. My job like has computer work, but I'm like getting into it. I might get another job. I've been job hopping for a reason. Actually, I know the reasons, but who knows? But I have a lot of experience with like staring at Excel sheets all day, and it not being fun. But the Excel sheets I make are fun. When I'm at home, and I can do like my review stuff, I can do my stuff for Velvet Room Publishing. Although I've really neglected my Google Sheets that tracks like my business stuff, especially like my stock. So like all the books I sold at PorkFest and all the money I made, I haven't done anything with it. And it's been like 3 months. But I feels like I moved, guys. That's my excuse. But anyways, I don't really have too much to talk about. We hit Definitive Yaira number 1, which I think, it's going to be doing about as expected. Like I said, this is one that's not, it's for like really, really hardcore collectors, and it's for people who are just getting into it. And that's not like the biggest group of people that get in on these like as soon as they launch. So I think it's something that's cool to do. It's definitely a nice thing to have as an evergreen product, and hopefully these definitive series, the softcover stay on as evergreen products. So I think $40 for the amount of pages you're getting like 96, 70, 56, 50. So you're getting about 200 or so pages of comics for $40, and I think it's a pretty good deal. Let's see. And it was something that Eric said in passing, so maybe there's nothing, but I like conspiracy theories. I love them as well, man. But we'll see if we get something next week. But like I said, if we get a drop next week, most likely going to be Great War Separation 3 or Alpha Core number 2 or The Curse from Black-Eyed Club. I think it's going to be Glossary and then probably Alpha Core 2, because I think that's pretty close to being done. And then at the end, Curse and Black-Eyed Club. I think Bloodroof number 2 is going to be a Halloween book. I think they're going to hit getting it out. And of course, Michael Montanet, I believe that's how you say his name. When I did my Bloodroof number 1 review, he actually left a comment and said, "Thanks for pronouncing my name correctly." Because I think it's a French name, and you can't, French, most of the letters are silent. like half of the letters are silent. And half the letters make no sense. In French, the word for water is O, and it's spelled E-A-U. It's a language that makes no sense. But English is a language that doesn't make sense. Any natural language has a lot of stuff about it that just doesn't make sense, and that's something you have to accept with any language. But that's just the way that's just the way the cookie crumbles. But anyways, so yeah, Michael Montanet. It was a fantastic artist on Bloodroof number 1. I imagine he's finished with Bloodroof number 2. Of course, that was my most popular, or actually, it's my most popular video on Velvet Room Publishing. Like the video I made that was the review of Bloodroof number 1 was my most popular video. I think I just released it at the right time, and I think I don't know. I think that's really it. I think people just like Bloodroof. So I have no idea why people actually watch my content. Very grateful that you guys do, but I've got no idea why. But I've been streaming for just under an hour. And like I said, slow news week for the Rippaverse. Hopefully this new book does actually exist and it happens, and I got something to talk about next week. But expect me to talk about, I'll show off the covers of this book, and I'll show off the merch options as well. But nothing more than that. Of course, I'll mention that Saints and Sinners is going to be fulfilling, and Norfolk Glorious Death closing out. But it's a slow news week for the Rippaverse, which Maud always appreciates. But it makes it a bit, I don't know, like I guess a difficulty to make like really engaging content when you get stuff like this. And that's not to say like, oh, it's bad or the Rippaverse is doing anything wrong. When they've got weeks that are slower than other weeks, it's just going to happen. It's a natural thing with any sort of entertainment company. Of course, like Nintendo recently had a direct, and it was a big one. And I went through the headlines, and new Fire Emblem game, Mario Galaxy movie, and the 1 and 2 remasters are coming. A lot of really exciting stuff. It doesn't happen every week, man. So it's just a natural thing. It's going to be ebbs and flows in what you release. And this is one of the slower weeks, and I've had plenty of slow news weeks on the Rippaverse. I always find something to Braxcast about. But I've got stuff, considering we did get something in Definitive Yaira, which I think is a pretty cool thing. But it's not something, like I said, that I'm getting in on. It's not something that the fans really need. But it's a cool thing to have the omnibuses as evergreen products. And I think that's something that they understand. I think that's the play there. But anyways, that's all I have for you guys. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this episode of Braxcast Live. I think I'm going to sign off now, unless anybody wants to say anything, while they're lurking, want me to talk about. If not, then I think I'm going to end it here. And I'll give like a couple of seconds before I end it. Anything speak now or forever hold your peace. Peace out is what Mike is saying. So yeah, I think I'm going to end it here. Thanks for another fantastic live stream, guys. And probably a lot of people were at the Norfolk closeout stream. I'm sure that's still ongoing. So hopefully you guys have a great weekend. Try to keep your spirits up. Don't fall into despair. As hard as that is, hopefully you guys can. And I know I have. So I'm saying that to myself as well. So, but still, have a great weekend, guys, and have a great rest of the month or whatever. I don't know. I'm rambling at this point. So Joker is out.